What makes a figure legendary in history? Is it their unmatched brilliance, their unforgivable misdeeds, or their ability to spark debates for decades or even centuries? From conquerors and revolutionaries to cunning leaders and political strategists, the most controversial figures in history blur the line between hero and villain. Admirers hail them as visionaries, while critics brand them as destroyers. In this video, we'll uncover the lives of the top 10 most controversial figures in history. Together, we'll examine their achievements, their flaws, and why they remain divisive to this day. Brace yourself for a captivating journey through history. Let's dive in. Few figures immortalized in history have evoked as much admiration and disdain as Napoleon Bonaparte. Rising from a low-ranking military officer to the Emperor of France, he reshaped Europe's political landscape through his military brilliance. The Napoleonic Code, a legal framework he established, is still admired today for its influence on modern law. But this triumph came at a price. Napoleon's relentless conquests plunged Europe into years of war, causing widespread devastation and loss of life. Critics see him as a man consumed by power who destabilized entire nations for his ambition. Was he a transformative leader or a menace to peace? You decide. Moving to the era of modern dictatorships, we come to Joseph Stalin, the man who industrialized the Soviet Union and led it to victory in World War II. To his supporters, Stalin's leadership saved the Soviet Union during its darkest days and transformed it into a global superpower. But the cost of his utopia was staggering. Stalin's purges, forced labor camps, and policies like the Holodomor famine caused millions of deaths. While some credit him with shaping Russia's strength, others see a chilling legacy of cruelty and repression. Could the Soviet Union have risen without such bloodshed? Hailed as the father of modern China, Mao Zedong's revolutionary fervor played a key role in founding the People's Republic of China in 1949. His land reforms and revolutionary efforts aimed to uplift the underprivileged. However, Mao's legacy is stained by catastrophes like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, policies that led to famine, persecution, and cultural destruction. His leadership transformed China, but his authoritarian rule raised the question, can progress justify human suffering on such a massive scale? Che Guevara is nothing short of an icon. His image, a symbol of rebellion, finds itself plastered on t-shirts worldwide. To many, he was a freedom fighter championing the cause of the oppressed in Latin America. But others see a different side. Critics argue that Guevara's guerrilla tactics and role in establishing authoritarian regimes left a legacy of violence and oppression. His life, cut short in a Bolivian jungle, continues to polarize. Was he a selfless revolutionary or an ideologue willing to sacrifice lives to achieve his vision? Few names in history spark as much debate as Christopher Columbus. As an explorer, Columbus's voyages heralded the age of discovery, connecting continents and reshaping the global economy forever. But his legacy is deeply contested. For indigenous people, Columbus represents the onset of European colonization, which brought enslavement, exploitation, and catastrophic loss of life. While schoolbooks celebrate his exploration, his darker legacy as a harbinger of imperialism complicates his story. Should we celebrate Columbus or critically reassess his impact? Traveling back to medieval Europe, we meet Vlad the Impaler, the ruler of Wallachia, famed for his resistance against the Ottoman Empire. Vlad's savage methods of warfare, including his infamous practice of impaling enemies, earned him a reputation as a fierce protector of his land. But with that reputation came a terrifying legacy. His cruelty, exaggerated by many over the years, inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. Was Vlad a national hero defending his homeland from invaders, or an unmerciful ruler who let brutality define his reign? The name Niccolò Machiavelli is synonymous with cunning and ruthlessness in politics. Through his famous work, The Prince, he established the idea that the ends justify the means. His insights into power and leadership remain studied and admired. However, Machiavelli has also been demonized as the father of political deceit, a blueprint for tyranny. Was he offering frank advice about how power works, or was he endorsing manipulative, immoral leadership? History enthusiasts still grapple with the complexity of his teachings. Genghis Khan, the founder of the Mongol Empire, achieved what seemed impossible, uniting the nomadic tribes of Asia under one rule. His empire fostered global trade, cultural exchange, and innovations while spanning much of Europe and Asia. Yet, Genghis Khan's campaigns were marked by unparalleled brutality. Entire cities were razed, and millions perished during his conquests. His achievements and atrocities pose a critical question. Can such monumental success ever justify its horrifying cost? As the 37th President of the United States, Richard Nixon had a mixed record. His foreign policy breakthroughs, including opening relations with China and détente with the Soviet Union, were significant developments during the Cold War. But Nixon's name is inseparable from the Watergate scandal, which exposed corruption at the highest levels and led to his resignation. While some applaud his achievements, his actions forever damaged public trust in government. Does his legacy deserve redemption, or does his scandal overshadow his accomplishments? Finally, we examine Kim Jong-il, the leader of North Korea, who shaped the nation into a nuclear-armed state and fortified its regime during times of global isolation. Supporters from within North Korea hail him as the protector of their country's sovereignty. However, his rule was defined by propaganda, oppression, and international condemnation of his human rights abuses. His people suffered from famine and surveillance. While he strengthened North Korean identity, the suffering during his reign generates vehement criticism. Was Kim Jong-il a protector or a despot? These figures are linked not just by controversy, but by the duality of their actions. They defied norms, shaped eras, and left legacies that refuse to be simple. What can we learn from them? Power often comes at the expense of ethics. Greatness is rarely unblemished. And perhaps most significantly, history isn't black and white. It's painted in shades of gray. By analyzing these figures, we don't just judge the past. We reflect on our present values and the decisions that shape the world we live in today. As history enthusiasts, it's your turn to join the discussion. Who among these figures fascinates you the most? Which side of their legacy do you find more compelling, their achievements or their atrocities? Share your thoughts in the comments. Who else would you add to this list? Let's dive into the complexities of these figures together and keep the conversation about history alive. History remembers, but it doesn't simplify. Today, we've explored the lives of 10 extraordinary individuals who shaped and shook the world. Their legacies continue to challenge us, both morally and politically. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed this deep dive into history's most controversial figures. And stay tuned. Our next video will reveal misunderstood leaders from history and the untold stories behind their infamy. Until then, keep asking questions, keep debating, and keep uncovering the story of humanity, because history lives on in the answers we seek.